Well, I did a video last night too on the way home from Scioto, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm getting close to going over my data. I'll load it when I get home. I never thought anything of it. I get to the Meadows tonight. Greg says, "You're slipping." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "No video last night." I said, "Yes, there was. I had a video." He goes, "I didn't see it." Oh my God. I forgot to load it. So I loaded it for you guys somewhere before race 1 at the Meadows today. My apologies. Obviously, it was a great night last week. It's been a great week. And a decent night again tonight. I just watched the last horse race. I'm Fancy Like. Had to pace 52-3. She's getting better. Getting much better. Since we put her on Lasix, she's much better. Not her preferred trip today. Following cover, 3 wide in the last turn. Aaron drove her perfect. Got a great trip behind a horse that looked legit on paper. Ended up being stalled cover in the last turn, and she finished up very strong. Like I said, paced like 52-3. I thought she raced great. Following the good night that we had last night, I get up this morning. We had some horses to train. Jason, I think, if I'm not mistaken, said he'd entered 9 horses for Wednesday. I think we only got 3 or 4 in. But it entered 9 horses for Wednesday. I know that Tim entered some in the Meadows, and only 2 of them got in, I believe. Lonely Lakewood, we'll talk about him in a minute. And Ready for Landing. Now, the frustrating part was Ready for Landing's in the 12th race. And I like driving Jason's horse. He's a nice horse, the Jericho horse, but I can't make it back in time to drive him. So he'll need a driver for PL Jericho on Wednesday. I'll be at the Meadows for... Oh, you missed it. I'll be at the Meadows for... skylight things. I'll be at the Meadows for race, I think, 4 and 12, and then back to Northfield Park for some. We have some in, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, something like that. So I got up this morning, went to the barn, trained some horses in the bike. I know 3 I can think of for sure. I didn't think Lonely Lakewood would get around Northfield as well as he did. Now, for those of you thinking, you're going to look at the program on Wednesday and say Lonely Lakewood might be a little bit short. He hasn't raced since first part of June. You'd be wrong. I trained him this morning in 58-2 at Northfield Park. That's 5 days out from Wednesday. He's plenty tight for Wednesday and ready to go. Man, I was surprised how well he got around the track. How well he got around the half-mile track. But he was very, very good this morning. And Lover's Play just continues to impress me. Now, she's on a different level, right? I don't expect, Grand Circuit type miles from her, or Sire Stake miles, or Stake miles. I just expect her to go out and put in an honest effort. And she is the epitome of a hard-working horse. For all the reasons she has to not be a racehorse, she still goes out and does well. So I had it in my head, I was just going to go easy with her today. I said, you know what, guys, take the hobbles off her, take everything off her, just put an open, happy bridle on her and a set of boots, head pole on the left. I'll train her on the race bike. I'm going to the track and I'm thinking to myself, this is a big ask. You're asking a lot of this. She's probably going to run, which I didn't care. I turned to the right way of the track. I go a mile in 2 minutes last half and 59 seconds with her. No boots. Just trotting boots on behind. No boots up front. Nothing. No hobbles. No head check. Just an open, happy bridle and a head pole on the left instead of trotting boots. She's not going to race that way, obviously, but trained very, very strong today. Really happy with her. Now, the latter part of my day, Ava and I actually trained Melisandre together. We trained good. That was her first training trip back since we crowd her curb. Oh no, I did train another horse. A Trant? Oh wow. She looked bionic this morning. I went a mile in 2:7 last half in a minute. Felt like I could have won a mile in 57 with her. She was so good. She was exceptionally good this morning, and probably another week or so away, but man, she felt like she was ready to rock today. Very, very good training mile from her. And then the other end of the spectrum, I went with Wander Hill. I don't know if Wander Hill is going to make it. He's going to make it to the races, but is he going to be an effective horse? I don't know. 2.6 the last 2 times I trained him in the race bike. Now, we trained him by himself, so I will give him that angle, but he has a lot to prove in a short time to do it, because there are going to be some last cuts to the stable, horses that aren't going to make it. And Wander, nice horse. I like the way he looks. He trotted today, did his work well, just needs to do a lot more of it, and he's got time. He may. I know that July the 2nd and the 3rd, there is fair races in Marietta, which is about a week before the first sire stake. And I almost smell that corn on the cob right now. I know Amy's not a big fan of going to the fairs. I know Jason doesn't love it, but I do. And I think that's going to be our first fair. You're probably going to see, we entered LT Troubadour today. He didn't get in. You're likely going to see him and Wander Hill show up. Fancy, who just raced and raced great, will likely show up. Born to Dance will likely show up. I know he's got a grassroots 2 weeks days later, but is he really going to... Excuse me. As you can see, I am driving home. Ava and I left the Meadows. We're making good time. We're probably going to be home around 1:40, 1:45 in the morning. I'm going to get up in the morning now. A little wrinkle to my tomorrow morning. Chicago Hall, I'm going to have to go qualify him. James is catching a flight to race his horse in the Meadowlands tomorrow and can't stay that late. Not even close. Said he has to leave after the 9th qualifier. Which you would think, had he told me that yesterday, the day before that, any time in the last 72 hours, we could have conveyed that concern to the race office and said, hey, James is going to go with their horse. Can you put him in a little bit earlier? They likely would have facilitated that for us. But James said nothing. I said nothing. Dominic didn't know. He said nothing. So, lo and behold, we hooked the 14th qualifier. Now, I'm a little angry because it's the start of Ollie's baseball game. The second game tomorrow is right at that time. But I am in the vicinity, so I will go up and qualify Chicago Hall. I'd be angry if I didn't. Oh my God, yawning and sneezing. I'd be a little angry if I didn't and something went wrong. So I'll pop up and go to Chicago Hall tomorrow. Now, let's get into, quickly, because I am running out of data, let's get into tonight's races. I did stay tonight. I chose to stay tonight because we had 3 Point Blue Chip to race. We had Kings County to race. And quite frankly, most importantly to me, we had Arrowhead Hanover making his first lifetime start. And I wanted to go with him. So I told Amy, I'll be home, but it won't be till late at night. I'll go with Arrowhead. I got away exactly where I hoped and wished I would. I saw Chris Lemps going out of there a little bit. I just kind of shoved through. Arrowhead's good. Like, he's been in those tight quarters, so I had no concerns. You saw the 5-horse kind of blew up a little bit when Chris dropped down in front of him. Arrowhead just followed, glued to his helmet. I nicked the last pylon getting into the passing lane, and somebody said it looked like you thought you were a winner. Honestly, I felt like I was a winner as soon as I got away in the 2-hole. As soon as he got away on the right foot, it felt good. I didn't pull the earplugs. I didn't really rev him up very much. That was just him doing his work, and he did it very, very well tonight. Very impressed with our first 2-year-old winner of the year, and his name is Arrowhead Hanover. That is the International Money Colt that we bought last year, and he will likely be heading to the All-Stars, I guess. I had a brief conversation via text with one of my partners on Green Glitter yesterday. They said, I don't know if going to the All-Stars is a good idea. My first initial response was to push back and say she might very well be going there, but actually Gary might be right. It may not be the best choice to send her there. Now, we did have mucus, but it's a long season. Do we really want to ship down to see what's waiting in that end of the ocean for us, or let them come to us in the first stake race? I think the latter might make the most sense. So I don't mind going to see what's down there with Arrowhead. He's brimming with confidence, looks good. The other side of the spectrum is Green Glitter looks good, but was a beaten 5th, showed a lot of mucus. Let's clean that up. So she'll likely race next Saturday in the either the maiden or the pop-up, one or the other, for her. Dad's horse, second Irish Rail, was happy with him. Don't talk about Bruno. 2 very different trips tonight. Don't talk about Bruno left, got away in a hole and never moved, where Helly in the Clouds left, didn't get away in the hole and stayed out the entire month. She saw the vast majority of the Kawartha Lakes cottage country tonight. I could see that Nick was struggling to find a spot for her, and lo and behold, I just thought that whatever, just push forward. And it looked like, if anything, there was maybe, good thing I saw that sign on the ball. I saw the sign for to go to Buffalo. You gotta make the turn here. We're used to coming from Northfield, where it's just a straight shot right to the border. No turns, no exits. But when you're coming from the Meadows, you have to exit at Erie heading towards Buffalo. Almost missed that one. It's tough. It's tough to jump up and drive trotters you've never driven before, especially when you're driving them for us or for people and you think you have a shot to win. Bruno was probably in a little bit tough, and I'd like to find a spot for Bruno to do some damage. I like the horse. He's a likable little horse. I haven't had much luck, and I know somebody had messaged me and said, can you take him to Northfield? Can't take them all to Northfield, right? I just finished telling you 4 or 5 of our horses didn't even get in for Wednesday. So I don't want to have horses tripping all over each other over here. And I know that the prospect, I know Patricia had messaged me, said the prospect is a joke and you got to pay $100 to race for less money than you would in the not. You're right. Everything you're saying is right. And another, Steve again. Jeepers. Rock dust is like radioactive. Another conversation with Johnny tonight, St. Anthony. The vet bill on Hallie is high. That is important. I addressed that briefly the other day. Chicago Hall, Gaslight Hall, Resolve Indeed, a little bit of Princess Dream, Hallie in the Clouds. There are some horses that have high vet bills right now. We're trying to set them up for the rest of the summer. My message to Johnny about Hallie was simple. Bear with me. There's a nice horse in there. Her knees bother her. She's not there yet. Yes, tonight's trip probably didn't help her that much. Still, she's tough. Last 100 yards, still coming to them. But need to do a better job with her. And I feel bad for Nick too. He's down there. You're trying to drive horses, and you don't know the horses. You don't want to put a horse on the run and look bad, and then you either end up overdriving or underdriving the horses. I've done it a million times in my life. And, you give the guy a chance to drive them again. Who knows? But he may not get that chance. So, we'll see. Yeah, did Hallie get roughed up? Yes. Is her vet bill high? Yes. Is she coming forward? Yes. And she's a well-bred filly. Just give us some time. Bear with us when it comes to Hallie in the Clouds. When it comes to Bruno, I think there's a little more under the hood there, and I think that he's going to grow into a decent little horse. He's not going to be a Mohawk horse. He's not going to be a Buckeye grassroots horse. He's not going to be one, but he's going to be a useful horse, I want to believe. And if he's not, then we'll pull the trigger and move him. But, they went 57-4 tonight, too. It wasn't like 57-1, maybe. It wasn't like they were walking. It was a decent mile for Bruno tonight. Now, I hope, and I want to hope and believe that there'll be better days ahead for Bruno. Now, Spitfire was the only disappointment, I think, of the entire night. Well, no, there was one more. We'll talk about him in a minute. But Spitfire, Stacy said his feet were still bothering him. They're hot. We're trying to do our best. I said, whoa. I think we're looking at this the wrong way. We don't need to fix his feet up. We need to turn him out, right? He's going to struggle in this heat. That is inevitable. Almost guarantee you he is going to struggle in this heat. So if we know he's going to struggle, why don't we the only race we got to pay into it later on is to Charlie Hill. I think it's in August. Just give him 3 weeks off, bring him back. If he seems good, his feet are good, and he's strong, then we can talk Charlie Hill. And if they're not, we won't talk Charlie at all. No big deal. And I think that's the best case scenario for Spitfire. We know the disgusting heat has to be a problem. This horse flipped his heart as a 3-year-old. Now he was on Lasix, and he was
flipped his heart.
They get arrhythmia. He had to have his heart rhythm medically put back into proper sync. Yeah. So, and it was caused from a bad electrolyte balance. You guys see how he washes out and foams up. Add in Lasix because he was bleeding a little bit at the time, and it's not that shocking, right? It's just simple science. Dirt all over my nose, drive me crazy. So I think that we don't have to. Sure, if he wasn't sitting on a long overdue rest. Yeah, we can talk about, work on his feet, block them and shock them and get him in next week. He'll be fine. Sure he will. This horse needs a rest. And he may not be asking for it. His feet certainly weren't tonight. So let's just turn him out. Turn him out for 3 weeks. Start him back. We'll have him ready in 5 or 6. Right? We'll see how he is. And if we bring him back in 3, the only thing I'm asking for from Stacy is an honest opinion. If he doesn't look razor sharp and fresh as a daisy, turn him back out. Don't worry about the Charlie Hill. It's a $500 sustaining fee. Who cares? And I think that's the plan. There's a horse can make a fortune all fall and winter. He's already been dominant at times in the Open at different racetracks in Southern Ohio. There's no rush with Spitfire Overseas at all. So he was a little flat. Now the rest of the horses all race pretty good, except I'm going to get to Century Legion in a second because this is kind of important. I know that Patricia shares a lot of people had huge hopes for this horse tonight. Relax. I can almost guarantee you what took place. I'm going to explain it to you in a minute. Kings County. I had low expectations going in. He's like 6-1 morning line. Nobody was really giving him a lot of respect. Joey Coe that ended up beating me at the wire. Pretty nice horse. Won the Open a couple of times. And a much younger horse than Kings County. Kings County has not been the Kings County of old for quite a while. 55 seemed to be his speed. He didn't get in last week, so he got a week off. Tim got to work on his leg. He's got a little swelling in his leg that bothered him for a while. His feet bother him. But when I post-braided him tonight, the one thing I can tell you, the track was deep. Very deep. And it was hot. Kings County's got his ears up, and he's trotting through the post-braid. He feels great and quiet. Usually he's anxious. He seems very, very anxious. But he's quiet tonight. I'm saying to myself, geez, he feels good. I'm going to put his nose right in the gate. You could never do that with this horse. He's made breaks on Brett. He's made breaks coming off the car, being around the car. How many times have you seen him make a break in a dumb place in the first turn, trying to just settle him into a hole? He's fractious at times. But tonight he just seemed cool. Just like he was on point. I put his nose right on the gate. I went out of there with him. I had every intention of just dropping in behind Joey Coe. Dave Pallone filled the 2-hole up. I said, all right, fill your boots. I just let him sail. And I could tell when he cleared over the front, he always did some of his best work on the front. And he could do some heavy lifting. He didn't need you to protect him or baby him. Just leave him alone for a little while. In the mile. I never tapped the brakes. 27 and a piece. I let him sail over the half, 56 and 3. I let him rattle down the backstretch, and as soon as I heard footsteps, I put him in gear. And he just got picked off. He raced. That was a ghost of the past. He raced so good tonight. I was so proud of the horse. Tim and Tim's crew have done a great job with him. You know, Larry had said, why don't we just race them every 2 weeks? No, it doesn't work that way, Larry. You don't, when they're not thoroughbreds. You can't race them just every 2 weeks. It doesn't work that way. You can skip every so often and race every 2 or 3 weeks and then race 3 or 4 in a row, but you can't go every 2 weeks because you lose a little bit, right? Every time you do that, you lose just a little bit. There might be a big jump forward like you saw tonight when you give him that initial break, but you can't do that all the time. And you know what? As impressed as I was tonight, I'm curious what he's going to look like next week. I don't know. You might see him come right back with a vicious smile again, or he might regress a little bit. There's no spring chicken. So I'm curious to see what Kings County's going to do next week, but that was a hell of a mile tonight. Big mile from him. Excuse me, young lady. I know you've been nice and quiet over there, hoping that I didn't remember that we agreed on 40 minutes in the box. Yep. That's well over 40 minutes. That's like 2 hours. Thank you. Now, Century Legion. Why don't I end with Century Legion? Because I want to talk about him for a minute. I'm going to.
He's angry at Century Legion.
I'm not angry at Century Legion. I know exactly what happened with Century Legion. Exactly what happened. Now, I'm going to end with him. 3 Point Blue Chip was awesome. Stifles were shaking after the mile, running into the turns. Now here's a horse, Amy said, man, he's just not trotting good. This isn't the beautiful gaited horse that I remember. Yeah, but that's before he broke his foot and was off for a year. The track was deep. He had bar shoes on. I said all this to Tom when I talked to him on the phone. I said, Tom, horse is running in a little bit, stalling in the turns, and still trot at 53-1. He will trot. If we get a full summer into this horse and keep him remotely fresh, he will trot 51, 52 at Mohawk in the fall. I know he will. I'm sure he will. That's the plan. And if we decide he's not going to Mohawk, fine. Race at the Meadows. He's a nice horse. Got away good. Pulled up, as I said. Track is deep. So front shoes, the pin bars are not helpful in this track tonight. There's not much you can do about that. The track was just a hair deep. Some horses got through it, some didn't. You saw me drive that Shuni horse earlier in the card, and that horse was great. Last week, the track was hard as a rock. The horse raced great. Tonight, track was deep. I knew the horse was going to break way before he did. I could have told him, you're not going to get around that last turn. I guarantee you're not. You only got about 4 strides in and rolled off. So 3-point blue chip, little rickety. Hobbles could have went out a little bit tonight, to be honest. Little rickety. Stifles were shaking after. Maybe a little internal blister in his stifles. Remember, he's an EPM horse, so probably due for a tube of Marquis. And then just continue to work on his feet. Check his knees. The only issue we had when he was 2, we did his knees a couple of times, but that was just because he was a baby. They're probably not even bothering him anymore, but maybe worth having a little look. You know, his feet bother him a little bit. He wears bar shoes and he broke his foot. He's got a screw in one of his feet. So, sound as a dollar, but I think he can be helped, which is a huge deal because he just trotted in 53-1. I just gave you a litany of things you could do to help him, and he just trotted in 53-1. I would suspect a version of the old 3-point blue chip that we all fell in love with is somewhere in there, just knocking on the door. I think at some point in the latter part of the summer, early part of the fall, you're going to see him go a big mile somewhere. So very happy with him. JK Victory was good. One of our clients said those 29-second third quarters seemed to draw the fish in, right? And they just kind of pounce on him. You know, when one of the best races I saw him go, one of the most impressive ones, Ronnie Wren drove him and just powered the lead at the half and just kept rolling. You can't do that every week. And the kids won with him. Kyle's won with him 2 weeks in a row, so I'm certainly not saying this is how you need to drive the horse. No, I think you figured it out. You've already won twice with him. The horse raced good. He didn't seem to have that pop the last 100 yards that he had. When the passing lane opens up, it seems like he takes off. And Ava and I were watching the race, and I said, this horse is going to win again. And I said, geez, it looks like he might be collared. And he was, sure enough, he was beaten one a neck, half a length. He raced good, raced very, very good. Finished third in 50-1, 50-2, so he's got 2 wins and a third in his last 3. A good mile for him. And then I'm fancy like, you know, she's getting better every week, right? She's never raced like that. I know Aaron gave her a spectacular drive, but she's more ride the rim. You saw the night that I get out and won with her, she kind of stayed in, and then sprinted the last 1/8 of a mile. But again, I won at 54 in pieces there. Aaron paced 52-3, 52-4, 52-2, something like that tonight, and she raced very, very good. So a great mile for her. A good night. We're going to finish with Century. Told you I would. Arrowhead Hanover a winner. Bruno, a decent 4th. Spitfire was flat going out to the field. Hallie in the Clouds parked the whole way. Saw all of Peterborough tonight. She finished 3rd and raced good. Kings County just got beat a nostril at the wire in 53-3. Raced awesome. 3-point blue chip 2nd and trotted in 53-1. Raced awesome. JK Victory 3rd, beat a snout. Raced great. I'm fancy like closing 52-1. A great night. Now I'll rewind back to Century Legion. 4-5 on the board. High hopes of this colt in our barn going in. Now, I asked Dominic after he said, ask James there what happened. And the thing that I think what started all this was you saw him get a little hot coming out of the gate. Now, where he gets hot is important. You get a little bumpy coming out of the car. James got him to settle, sat in the 2-hole, and then in the last turn, he's got him doubled up. Jody outside him moves over, and he tries to shoot through, and he makes a break. Why did he make a break? Well, I'll tell you why. One, we let his hobbles out a little bit from the qualifier because James thought they were tight. they could have been tight. That spot in the track is where he almost lost him at the gate, where it all began, behind the gate. It's where Dominic lost him training before his schoolers. It's where he almost made a break on me when I was training him with James in Chicago Hall 4 weeks ago. This is not new. This isn't just what happened. That seems like an anomaly. No, it's not. That has been a problem. And I'm going to tell you what the issue is. I told them the burn, he's very close to his outside knee. Now, Dominic said, Anthony, I checked his knee. There's no heat. There's no bruising. There's no spot that he would have hit that's obvious to me. There's no cuts. I'll check it tomorrow. It doesn't appear that he hit it. I didn't check the video. I didn't slow it down and look at it. But I can tell you one thing. 99% of the time when a horse makes a break right there, when they're switching gears and trying to advance, that's all interference, especially for a 2-year-old. I know that he hits up on one jack. He'll hit up on his left jack. I believe his left jack usually is when they switch leads and start to move over in the bike. That's where they'll hit. But it's not necessarily that hit. There's a boot. We have boots on him to cover that. That's not necessarily the problem. The issue is what he does the next stride. Usually what will happen is a horse will hit their jack, get out of gear. The next stride they'll come up, touch a knee. Now, factor in that we took the hobbles and let them out a little bit because James said he was hitting the hobbles. We talked about this the other day. What you have is a rookie making a mistake. Not the first time he's made one there. Hopefully the last, but he is a 2-year-old trotter. I thought taking the flip-flops off him would end that. That would mitigate that. But clearly it didn't tonight. So how do we fix that? Well, have a look at him tomorrow. See if how hard he hit that jack. I doubt there's going to be any marks or any bruises on him. But what do we do moving forward? Well, there's a number of things we can do. If he's getting over on the right shaft, which I don't know if he is or he is not, talk to James about that. Put a gate and pole on the outside. If he's on the left line, put a line pole or a Murphy blind outside if you want. There's a number of things you can do to just keep him away from there. As I said to them 3 weeks ago, I'd tape his knees up first and foremost. You might not see a mark on his knee. Something took place that startled him like that for him to make a break. He's done it before. He almost did it to me. He did it to Dominic. He almost did it to James leaving. And then he did do it to him coming out of the turn. This is not an anomaly. And it will continue. Fly, go away. And it will continue if we don't nip it in the bud. So before we start making some, as I like to say, wholesale changes, just pump your brakes. Just hold on. He will race next week. And I think the other thing, James had him bottled up pretty good. And from what I could see, he was bottled up pretty good. I wish he would have just moved him in the last turn. But it's just not James. He's not going to move a horse there. Because the problem isn't just the hitting. It's accentuated because he went from in park to trying to advance. Now, if he had been advancing coming out of the turn, I think he would have been all right. Now, that's hindsight. That's not fair to say. But the fact that he tried to move him over and advance, that's when he would have touched himself, got out of gear, and lost himself because he's a young horse. So my note to James will be, when he drives him, don't put him in gear there, have him in gear, and let him coast forward. You can't be flat-footed coming out of a hole with this horse in the straightaway in the last quarter of a mile, eighth of a mile. You can let him advance, but you can't be flat-footed to the point where he's stopped and then you're asking him to go. You could get in trouble. You did tonight. Right? We have to take note of that and understand that it could happen again. I don't think there's anything I can tell you or that we can do to the horse that will stop that from happening again. You need to be ahead of him. And that's not me berating James saying, oh, you should know. How would he know? It looked like everything was going to work out. Jody's horse drifted out. Away you go, through the middle. You're a winner. Oh, wait, you're on the run. Just try not to be flat-footed coming in the straight. right? Have him advancing as you come out of the turn. So there's not that rev your engine type situation, more of a slow acceleration. And he'll hit top gear. He's a nice horse. And you got to help him because he's learning too, right? Tonight he was going to learn how to trot a quarter in 28 seconds. Instead, James learned you can't ask him to do that yet. He'll come, just not yet. So that was what went on with Century Legion. My take on him. I'm confident I'm right. Pretty sure I am. We'll go over him tomorrow again, but I don't think anything other than his feelings, and our feelings were hurt tonight. But we need to learn from that. There needs to be a takeaway from that. We'll see how he races next week. So, I am done for the evening. Ava and I are not almost to Buffalo. We just left Erie. We're in the state of New York. We'll be home at 1:45. So with that, I'll let you go. I hope you guys had a wonderful day. My apologies for not posting the video until tonight. Thank you, Greg, for bringing it to my attention. I forgot. Great week continued. Sure, we have gaps, right? We have Halley getting parked, Spitfire being flat, Century Legion making a break. But all in all, a pretty strong week thus far. Tomorrow, I'm eager. The next 72 hours, we have some of our heavy hitters starting to race. Aunt Lily, Freedom Hill. Patrick's racing tomorrow. No Free Lunch is in tomorrow. At Dominion, I don't see my name down to drive Dominion. I told Harry must have thought I was joking when I said I'd go drive him. I would have. I still will if he wants me to. Tactical Mounds races tomorrow. Great race. Great bunch of horses racing tomorrow. And Texan Soprano also. How are they going to do that? Scotty's down to drive him. Who's down to drive Texan? Mark McDonald. Well, post 6 again. This horse is the worst drawing animal I've ever seen in my life, I think. And for a place that you can't draw bad, he never draws good. It appears we don't have anything racing Sunday. Monday, I'll drive Watch Your Mouth, Yo Mister. Somebody said, Anthony, where are you at that you couldn't stay for Brace for Landing? Well, that's a great question. We have, if my math is right, we have 6 to qualify and 7 to school at the Meadows on Tuesday. This will be our last week of qualifying and schooling, I believe. But I get a busy day Tuesday, and I can't leave. Oliver, of all people, asked me a good question. Like, why wouldn't you just get up and leave at 5 o'clock in the morning rather than drive home all night? It's a great question. I'm used to working later at night. I'm used to driving at night. So my body's used to it. Secondly, I hate the traffic. You get up at 5, you got to get down through the QEW, which you probably can do if you leave early enough. But then you have to get through the Buffalo traffic. And the drive from Guelph, Ontario to the Meadows is so boring. It's like the drive to Windsor. I don't like it. I don't mind the one to Northfield. I don't know why. And it's not the time. It just seems to be the drive. And I don't want to get up and drive. I would have to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning to get to the Meadows in time to warm up the horses. And I don't want to be there then. So I would rather leave after race 4. Little Addie Sr. I would have to leave. I'm going to leave. I would rather leave after race 4 and drive 4.5 hours and get to Northfield Park at 12:30. Get to Brunswick. Get up at 7:30 in the morning or 8. Take a drive over to the Meadows. That's what I would rather do. So that's what I'm going to do. So James is going to drive Brace for Landing from the outside. He's going to drive Looks Like Money. I'm going to drive Watch Your Mouth and Yo Mister and head over there. Now, that isn't even the most important thing about Monday, obviously. We have 7 in at Oak Grove. And somebody said, well, you didn't want to drive them? Of course I did. But as the manager of the stable, and a partner on many of those horses, if Scott Zeron's going to take the time to get out and drive them, I'm not going to stand in his way. I'm going to thank him and hopefully watch him win with all. That would be great. 7 in Kentucky on Sunday. It all starts. Our most anticipated horse so far has been Memento Mori. He makes his first lifetime start on Monday. So a great week. We've had a tremendous week. I hope we keep it going tomorrow. I'm eager to see what's going to take place. I'm going to go to Chicago Hall in the morning. I already what's going to take place there. And Monday, big day for us. Lots of great things happening at the stable and lots of great things coming up at the stable. But for right now, I'm going to talk to you all very soon. I'm going to continue on my drive. Now she's sawing logs. She's been a trooper, though. It's nice to hang out with my daughter. It's been a great week. Her and I have been on tour all week. It'll be nice to get home, watch Ollie play baseball tomorrow. He won tonight. He didn't do so great at the plate. 0 for 3, 1 strikeout, 2 outs. He was pretty down in the dumps. But as I said to him, just relax. It's baseball. It should be a lot of fun tomorrow. Can't wait to see him play. Can't wait to go with the horses. It's going to be a great weekend. Take care, everybody. I'll talk to you all very soon.